Okay, folks, let's get started, shall we? Welcome everyone. Before we begin, I don't know if there's an extra chair anywhere. I see a couple rows back, but if there is an empty chair beside you, maybe just pop your hand up so folks who are standing can shuffle in. I would like to remind you, of course, the meeting is being live streamed and recorded to the Township's YouTube channel. And we may have participants joining by Zoom, as well as from the council chambers. And of course, council, please raise your hand if you'd like to speak on a matter. And I'll now call the roll. We have Deputy Mayor Nelson.
Present.
Councillor Watt.
Present.
Councillor Report.
Present.
Councillor Johnston.
Present.
Of course, myself, Heather Watson. We have our clerk, Martina J. Harper. Hello. CAO, Elena Arthurs. Interim Treasurer, Paul Kramer. Chief Chuck Pedersen. Planner, Christina Coulter. And a new face at our table, our, maybe let's title right, Legislative Services Assistant. Thank you. So with quorum in attendance, I will now call the meeting to order. We respectfully acknowledge, I apologize. I gotta back up. I just see a note that you left me. We have our Manager of Public Works with us also on Zoom. Is that right? Correct. Hello, Jake. How are you? Okay, sorry, but that was go back to the land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that we are on the treaty and traditional territory of Wenatchee-Sagig Anishinaabe. We offer our gratitude to the First Peoples for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. May we honor those teachings. And if we could just pause for a moment of silent reflection, please. Okay. The agenda package was circulated previously. Council, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing nothing, could I please ask for an adoption of the agenda? Councillor Watt, second by Councillor Report. All in favor? And that motion carries. Before we get into the regular business of the agenda, I just want to acknowledge the fact that we do have a large room of people here today. This meeting isn't a public meeting per se where we're taking or accepting delegations from the floor. We do have a number of delegations that have registered in advance, and those people will be allowed to speak their allotted times. So I ask that the gallery, for a couple of reasons, of course, be respectful and quiet out of courtesy, but also because of the cameras that we have. On the table in front of me, these cameras are quite sound sensitive, and they rotate based on where noise is being detected. So too much noise in the chambers may make it difficult for people to see on screen what people are saying at the front of the room. As well, people you may not necessarily want to be on the focus of the YouTube channel on the screen. So I'll just remind you of that. Moving on into our agenda, adoption of minutes and business arising from the minutes. Of course, before us we have the regular council meeting minutes from our October 3rd meeting. A motion, Councillor Report, seconded by Councillor Johnston. Any discussion, questions on minutes? All in favor? And that motion carries. We have 3 items on our consent agenda. So one vote, of course, to receive and approve those, unless there's any item somebody wants to hold to discuss. Councillor Watt?
No, we're just going to approve all 3.
Motion to approve and receive. Councillor Report, seconded. All in favor, and that also carries. So on to section number 8. We do have a public meeting of the Planning Act zoning bylaw amendment file to go forward with. This is item 8.1. So can I get a motion to open the public meeting? Councillor Report, Councillor Johnston, all in favor? And that carries. And I will hand it over to Ms. Coulter.
Thank you, Mayor Watson, members of council, staff, and the public. This is the public meeting for our proposed zoning bylaw amendment, file R-07-23. Council has before them report planning 2023-34 with the recommendation That report planning 2023-34 dated October 17th, 2023, regarding zoning bylaw amendment file R07-23 be received, and that council receive all comments related to zoning bylaw amendment file R07-23, and that the bylaw to enact the amendment be passed at the appropriate time in the meeting. So as some background, on behalf of the owner, Stephen Kidd, Andrea Spence has applied to amend the existing zoning on their property located at 1635 County Road 6. I think Stephen and Andrea are in attendance, but I'm not sure if they're online or I can see them in the room. Notice of public meeting and complete application was given on September 25th, 2023 by ordinary mail and email as prescribed under the regulations of the Ontario Planning Act. Notices were also posted on the subject property and on the township website. So the rezoning is required as a condition of the consent application for file B60-22 that was conditionally approved by Peterborough County on October 13th. The subject property is currently zoned rural, and the zoning bylaw amendment proposes to rezone portions of the property to the environmental conservation zone to recognize existing wetlands and their 30-meter vegetation protection zone. Council has a copy of the draft bylaw attached to my report. The following comments were received. Enbridge Gas had no objections to the application. Hiawatha First Nation had no questions or concerns. County of Peterborough Public Works had no further comments other than those that they have provided on the severance application. The Autonomy Region Conservation Authority indicated that the proposed rezoning is appropriate to rezone the lands to the environmental conservation zone to recognize existing wetlands. Therefore, it is the opinion of ORCA that the application remains consistent with section 3.1 of the PPS. The property is partially subject to Ontario Regulation 167-06, which is their development, interference with wetlands, and alterations to shorelines and watercourses regulation. So permits will be required from their agency prior to any construction within those regulated areas. And finally, ORCA indicated that the subject lands are not located in a vulnerable area as per the revised Trent Source Protection Plan. The application was circulated to senior staff on September 25th, and there were no concerns identified. So as proposed, the draft bylaw is consistent with provincial policy statement and conforms to the growth plan and to the official plan. So with that, I will turn it back to you, Mayor Watson, for any questions from council and the public.
Great, thank you very much. So is there anyone present who would like to comment on the application for or against the application? Seeing nobody in the gallery, Madam Clerk, is there anybody on Zoom call who's registered otherwise? There's not. Okay, great. Any questions from the council, the staff on the application? No. Could I simply get a motion to close the public meeting, please? Councilor Record, Deputy Mayor Nelson, all in favor? And that carries. And we just need a motion then to receive the report and the comments as worded. Yeah, everybody's hands are going up. Councilor Johnson, is that a motion?
Have to receive this.
Councilor Walsh,
Second.
second. All in favor? And that motion carries. I guess since we have no representatives here, we don't really need to move the bylaw up, so we can move forward. On to item 8.2, we have a delegation from the Birchcliff Property Owners Association. Mr. Johnson, Mr. Coyle, would you care to come up to the lectern, please? And while you're getting yourselves situated, good afternoon, welcome.
First of all, I didn't think we were so popular.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a great view.
We brought lots of business cards.
And I will remind you both that the delegation is restricted to 10 minutes. I will ring a bell at 9 minutes so that you know you have about a minute left to wrap up your comments.
Great, thank you. Well, it's great to be here and 5 minutes for you. Huh? Yeah. First of all, thank you, Mayor Watson and members of council and staff and the large audience tonight. We're here to talk on behalf, my name's Bruce Johnson, sorry, and I'm on the committee with Jim and others at the Birch Cliff Property Owners Association. And we're here today to talk about specifically about the road, obviously, the safety and the speak to the basically what's happening with the road, right, and the current state, and also to be we have noticed that there's been significant improvements over the last year in terms of improved signing, improved bushing. I noticed the new equipment, but Virtue Road continues to be a road that is, in my opinion, and the opinion of a number of people at the annual general meeting. You will recall we had a number of agenda items, but the whole meeting basically got tied up in road safety. Okay, so really what I'd like to do, we're going to talk a little bit about the safety, but I want to talk more about the planning process, the monitoring, the tracking, and going forward, and the role that we can play in assisting the city with the budgets going forward and what the plan is, strategic planning, contingency planning, and work planning. We're going to talk to that, okay? And you're prepared to provide the assistance because, as you know, the road. Well, I'll first talk to the road safety, and then I'll get into the planning process. But if you there was an engineering study done by DM Wheels, as you're all aware, back I believe it was 22, and basically I'm not going to go too much on the detail. I'm sure you've all looked at it. They define Virtue Road as a section of Virtue Road that is basically it's, would be west, east of Fillers Lane all the way up to approximately beyond Camp Line as a urban setting in a rural, an urban community in a rural, I'm paraphrasing what's in the document, in a rural environment. But I do want to read one section here, and I'm going to read this quickly. Based on the data collected from the fields, the cross-section of Virtue Road do not have consistent crown slopes and do not have consistent super elevations of the horizontal curves. The average minimum and maximum surface treated with the entire portion is getting into 7.8. However, the average width drops to 6.7 meters, and the portion of the second section is went down to 4.1. And this is all the way to McCracken's Landing. This means that each lane will get narrow from 3.5 to 3.3, so the road is considered as being narrow. Okay. The road itself, as you know, we've been talking about this for a number of years, and it has been an issue, and we really would like to see further improvements. In addition to, there are a number of items in here that were recommendations, okay? And there could be, say, are they really required or not? But as an example of 3 hills that are 16, 14, I read 12 degree, under the Transportation Act, does require proper signing. So in having a better understanding of the gaps between the recommendations, we know there are budgetary issues, and we're going to talk to that. But we do want to see more of that, some of these recommendations to be implemented, and we're prepared to work with you on it. So what's the plan? So let's go move on to the plans. And Jim's going to be up here, and he's going to talk to you on a proposal on how we can help the association. We have the means, ways and the means, and we're prepared to invest time and effort to assist you. So what's the plan for short-term, long-term going forward? There really, with my background in logistics, okay, there's a strategic plan, there's contingency planning, and there's work plans, which are the specific action items that come out of the budgets. And I know you're going into the budget process shortly. Okay, and it's an area that I personally can provide a lot. In strategic planning, it goes on to a 5-year, up to 5 years and beyond. Contingency is annual, and the work plan is basically it comes out of the initial, let's say for 2024, 2024 budgets, what is the work plan? And that's the detailed action items. I want to, in my discoveries in going out there, okay, and I know that it's a budget issue, work's getting done, but it's some very interesting discoveries that came out of the ratio, that big storm back on May 21st last year, where Birchview lost numerous poles, right? And so I been in contact with Bill, and basically the poles were installed in 1951. They're coming up to the life cycle, right? Bell Canada talked to BCE, Montreal, is planning, and it's in their budget. Now, everything I have to say to you here about what I've discovered, please validate it, okay? Check it. Bell is going to be installing fiber along Birchview Road starting March next year, and it's in their budgets. Do your team know this? If they don't, they should. Additionally, the poles at 51 years are at the end of their life cycle. This year is a super El Nino year. If you're gonna see, like back when Mel Lastman brought in the equipment and back in when we had the docks, 200 docks along Birchview, these were El Nino years, and the super year was the big ice storm in I think it was 15, 16, right? That winter where we had the ice storm that put us all in. So if you look at the planning process, right? If you know Bell is going to be there, right, and putting in fiber and hide those poles, Bell's not going to put that expensive equipment up on top of those poles that are just about to come down. The increased freeze thaw cycle associated with what's coming this winter. I mean, look at the trees right now. What's happening? Plants have gone nuts. The freeze-freeze cycle is going to be an issue. So there's an opportunity here. If Bell, I don't think they're going to want to put that expensive fiber up in those poles when they're full of drywall, which they are, and there's more going to come down. There's an opportunity as part of your planning process, strategic planning, to sit down and work out what goes first. The resurfacing, which is supposedly in the plan for next year, sorry, right? Coordinate, get together with Bell, get together with the hydro. Who's gonna go first? You're resurfacing, all that equipment's gonna come in and put in the poles. And then Bell, if they're gonna wanna put the fiber in the ground, that's gonna have a dramatic effect on the road, but it may create an opportunity for you to make changes. Because when I know something, I watched a dump truck and a Darrell drain truck go down. They're 102 inches wide, excluding the mirror, sorry. Right, 2 of them, 17 feet. I went out and measured where your shoulders are crushed. I think we got the ATV, I'm sure they level that cross side or, you know, it can be a problem. It's a safety issue, right? And what happens when they pull over? They crush the side. They crush the crown. The crowns are gone. The elevation is of the road is being changed dramatically, and it'll only get worse. So let's get into the planning, and anything that I've said about the change, it's got to occur. So, Jim, I'm going to turn it over to you, and he's got 1 minute.
Just,
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, today, gentlemen, what we'd like to do on behalf of the Birchview Property Owners Association is ask council to support the formation of a working group of Birchview Road residents and township staff. And that working group will be charged with the task to study and recommend road safety improvements that are feasible and can be incorporated into the plans for the imminent road reconstruction and surfacing. The terms of reference to that working group could include things like developing the timeframes for the road reconstruction. We just heard about Bell and everything else. Develop the formal specs for the RFP, considering all the reports we've had done. Recommended signage to be considered. BPOA will survey its members for input. BPOA will report monthly to all of Birchview Road residents on progress and timeframe expectations, and township report staff can report to interested parties on progress and time expectations like school buses, garbage trucks, recycling trucks, possibly Bell and Hydro. So that's basically what we've got. Birchview Road's a busy road, kind of like it's got all the features of an urban road, but it's in a rural setting. And there's no cycling lanes, no sidewalks for pedestrians, there's no lines on the road, there's no shoulders for people to take refuge. It's just a road waiting for an accident to happen. And this is the ideal opportunity with the road reconstruction and resurfacing to really look at some of these issues, plan for it properly, like Bruce was saying, and hopefully we can solve these problems and we'll get to sleep at night and not worry about somebody getting killed. So that's our request basically, you guys, and I'll give you a copy of this so you guys can, Martina, put it in the record.
Thank you for that, gentlemen. I would be remiss if I didn't mention, Bruce, you mentioned strategic planning, and what the township is doing, looking, 5 years out or so. It's a great opportunity to let you and residents know that we are in the middle of our strategic planning process right now, and there will be an opportunity for community input and feedback on helping to establish those priorities. And I believe that date is towards the end of November. I don't know if it's been set yet. It is the 28th of November. Of course, there'll be more information communicated about that on the township website. So I would encourage from a roads, purely from what you're talking about, but also the community to go out and have their input in that as well. Council, questions? Actually, sorry.
Well, I'm just gonna make a motion to receive
I was
the
gonna
delegation.
say, yeah.
Like there'll be a lot of questions, but I mean, this is ongoing.
Yeah.
And like they said, we got a lot of preparing and a lot of not, really to find out what's going on. We are planning on doing some asphalt this coming year. And this could maybe do a little hold on it if we didn't realize Bell and them are gonna be doing all this stuff. So anyway, let's just make a motion to receive the delegation and then we'll look into this a little later.
Okay. Anyone want to second that motion? Deputy Mayor Nelson, any discussion on the motion? Hearing nothing, all in favor? And that carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Folks, for those of you who are standing in the hallway, there is a bit of space, standing room space, but there is some space in this corner. If some of you do want to work your way in so you can see, you're welcome to do so. Okay, so we are moving on to section 9 of our agenda. This is a relatively new section on our agenda. It's a public comment period where members of the public can pre-register to speak for 5 minutes on the agenda. And we have one person who has registered this evening, and that's Jane Cooper. Mrs. Cooper, if you'd like to come on up, and as you get situated, I will, as I said, it's 5 minutes, and I will ring the bell when there's 1 minute.
No problem. I won't be 5 minutes.
All right, fair enough. The floor is yours. When you're
Thank
ready.
you, Mayor Watson and council, for allowing me to speak on behalf of all residents in support of all the ORVs being allowed to ride on township roads. As you see, we have a large crowd tonight. I will make this presentation short and sweet and to the point of allowing ORVs on our township roads. These ORVs are all safe to be on the roads, and riders are equipped with proper equipment, helmets, boots, etc. All drivers use hand signals, and they are legal in the province of Ontario. If people are breaking the law, then OPP charge them and show no leniency. We are the owners and operators of these ORVs, all pay for licenses and insurance, and feel it is very unfair we are not allowed on township roads. All roads in other townships are open around us: Otonabee, South Monaghan, Havelock, Belmont, Methuen, North Kawartha. And by the way, North Kawartha's mayor rides around on her ORV. Again, we hope you will take this time and consideration. We are missing enjoyment and pleasure as we cannot get to our trails. I see nobody has spoken against this tonight. Can we have a show of hands of everybody who is interested in us trying to get this law passed on township roads? Thank you, folks. Okay, we would like council to consider this law being passed. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for being respectful of the time as well. And it's simply,
Should we receive this?
actually, we don't receive these.
Oh, we don't do
Not
that?
this
Oh,
section.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to item 10, other business and staff reports. With council's permission, since there are a number of people here, obviously, who are interested in item 10.6 specifically, the ORV use on township roads, perhaps we move that up to be the first item on the agenda. So then we can have that discussion, and that means that when we're done the discussion, you guys can go home if you want, or you can stay. So we don't need a motion to make that amendment. No, we're good. So with that, then I will hand it over to the CAO, Linda Rivers.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Watson. The recommendation on tonight's report is that CAO 2023-26 report dated October 17th, 2023 regarding ORV use in the township of Douro-Dummer be received, and that council provide further direction on the use of ORVs on the county roads, and that council provide further direction on the use of ORVs on township roads. For the benefit of the audience, I'll just go over a brief synopsis if you haven't read the report. This council had asked us to approach the county and ask them to open up a couple of county roads. I won't specifically go through them. I'm sure most of you have looked at it. Did go to the county. They did exercise the opportunity to ask neighboring municipalities how they felt. Selwyn came back and wasn't happy with one of the routes coming right to Lakefield and asked that it come back to our council for further discussion. So that's a very high level of that portion. In addition, this council had asked that staff come back with some further information about other roads in the township and include information from our insurance company and ask the OPP to provide comment. The comments from our insurance company are included in the report, the actual email attached. We've asked the OPP to join us. I'll leave it to the mayor to introduce them after my report. In addition, we do have a number of submissions that came in. I will say unsolicited submissions. We did not do a formal public consultation on this at this time. It has been done in the past. Those records are kept in the clerk's department should council wish to review them. Because there's no specific information where people were comfortable releasing their personal information, it's not attached to this report, but we certainly have all of those comments that came in for and against that we can share with you. I think with that, I will turn it back over to the mayor, and if there's any questions, please answer.
Sure. Well, since you recognized Staff Sergeant Mike Kavanaugh, I'll hand it over to you. Did you have some numbers that you were going to, or some information you were going to speak to? Or
I
just
do have
answer
information to
questions?
share. Do you want me to report?
If you feel comfortable with it, please. Thank you. Welcome.
Thanks for having us here. My name is Mike Kavanaugh. I'm the staff sergeant at the Peterborough County Detachment, the operations manager. And what we have is some data with regards to off-road vehicles. It's not opinion, it's simply facts. So the position would be, it's not a position, but it's the OPP continues to investigate off-road vehicle collisions in the province of Ontario. And it shows that the majority of these collisions, the causes are loss of control, alcohol consumption, lack of experience, and overall carelessness for these collisions. I sent a document to the clerk this week outlining some of the data that the OPP collects. And provincially, there's a 10-year trend. Okay, can you go to the second one?
The 10-year trend.
The 10-year trend?
There you go. Apologies.
So the 10-year trend shows that there's an increase in ORV fatalities across the province. There's a top 5 list for detachments in the province with the top 5 amount of off-road vehicle fatalities. Those are deaths on off-road vehicles. Peterborough County is at number 2. We have 10. 20% of those deaths occurred in Douro-Dummer. So that's significant. The top 5 contributing factors for off-road fatalities in the 10-year trend, loss of control, second one's unknown, the third is impaired by alcohol, fourth is other, and 5 is speed. If we go back to the trend in 2023, it's a little more alarming with regard to the reasons. And they say that the number 1 contributing factor in off-road vehicle fatalities is impairment by alcohol, loss of control, and others, pardon me, the third. So what we're seeing is surprising to me because in 2021, when the COVID restrictions came into place, a lot of people stayed in, they took on hobbies, and they stayed around their own properties. What we expected to see was a rise at that, a spike in collisions and fatalities, but it's not the case. We seem to be trending up in those categories. So that was surprising to me. I took off the collision data today off our e-ticketing system, our collision reporting. And what we have from 2021 to 2023, we have 35 off-road vehicle collisions. 33 of those involving injury into the persons, and 14% of those collisions involve alcohol. So those are the reported collisions. As we all know, there's people out there on off-road vehicles, mainly on private property, who are having collisions, becoming injured and not reporting it. So I don't want to get into what I think that is, but these are the statistics in front of us at this point. We also have some enforcement trends, and what we see is with regard to enforcement, and this is, again, surprising to me that we would have seen more enforcement in 2021, but in fact, the enforcement increases in 2023. So there's 30 enforcement actions, pardon me. Just gonna do some math in my head here for a second. 28 enforcement actions between 2021 and 2023, and 14 of those were this year alone. So the amount of interaction between ORV riders and the police seems to be increasing. And I don't know exactly why that is. I wish I had a crystal ball, but I don't. We don't measure speed on ORVs. The difficult thing to do is cruisers aren't necessarily on the trail, so we don't have, I'm going to share this with you. We don't have radars on the ATVs, unless it's a handheld that we can have those, but we don't have them securely mounted to the off-road vehicles. We do appreciate that there's a lot of lawful riders who belong to clubs and associations, and we respect that. And those aren't the people we're having problems with. Not that we have problems, but these aren't the people that are, riding on the road, no helmets, impaired. And we want to thank you for your lawful riding, but we do have a concern about the use of ATVs. And we don't know what the future brings or how it would look on the roads if we increase the number of ORVs on the road. So.
May I ask 2 questions? Is that permitted? No.
It's not, unfortunately. So,
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I'll start with a quick question and then throw it over to council if they have any questions. You mentioned enforcement trends. One of the questions and concerns that we hear is that people are currently riding on the roads that aren't necessarily being monitored and enforced, and how are we able to keep up with that now, much less monitoring when there are more people using the roads on ATVs or ORVs. So it's kind of a twofold question. I apologize. There's a staffing side of it and deployment, and how do we resource that? And the other side of that is the feedback we're hearing is that you're not out there enough already. So why aren't you out there writing those tickets right now, if that's the case? And I'm just saying straight up the feedback that I've heard and that folks have said in our council who are for or against.
That's true. So we typically respond to complaints. So when a complaint comes in, by luck, if you're in the area, we can deal with that complaint at the time. If you had more ORVs on the road, the policing costs will inevitably increase because the complaints are going to come in. The traffic complaints will come in, collisions will inevitably rise, and we can have ancillary complaints like noise complaints because there's some people who have modified ATVs and they're sometimes a bit of a nuisance. So we've experienced that in other townships. So that could be the trend for Douro-Dummer. I don't want to set the sights, but again, with regards to enforcement, the law-abiding riders, they're great. They're the example we have to set. But with regards to enforcement, a lot of the enforcement has to do with administrative things. No permits review, failing to change ownership, not properly licensed, no plate on the vehicle. So these are the ones that have stopped for us that we're able to conduct enforcement on. Others are not.
Great, thank you. Deputy Mayor Nelson?
So thanks for your reports and statistics. So if I'm hearing you right, most of the accidents that are happening is alcohol related, correct?
14% from 2021 to 2023 were alcohol related.
So that's pretty high. That's a pretty high number. The people
Well, consider
that
they shouldn't be drinking alcohol. Yeah.
correct. I mean, if you looked at that, if they were in a car, we'd be rather alarmed, I would think.
You know, I wish I had the automobile statistics for me too.
Yeah, but so I guess I put it this way, it's not legal to be doing that. People that are out there doing illegal things, it's illegal anyway. Like not having license insurance or riding with helmets, or all that stuff is all illegal. So if I look at the stats of what you brought forward to us, is pretty much is all illegal. And we have a group of people that are conscientious riders. So I guess I put it, why are we for the bad people that don't want to abide by laws, why are we punishing the people that do want to abide by the law? And that's my thought. Well, that might be true.
The response to that applause.
Oh, not everybody does.
What about a show of hands of people that are not here
I'm-
in support?
We're not going to be taking questions and direction from the gallery at this point in time. This is a public meeting, so I ask that you keep your comments. Councilor Wall?
Through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you very much for the information. It's statistics suck sometimes, they really do. I do have a question though on, you said Douro-Dummer was the highest fatality rate in a certain,
Peterborough County,
20%, sorry. Peterborough County was high, but you said Douro-Dummer was 20% of those?
Yeah.
I can't even remember hearing one, but how many people was that? Two people. So we probably have more than that, and it's not a good thing, like, we want no people, but I mean,
Yeah.
we probably had, I don't even know how many multiples of that in cars have had fatalities, stuff like that, but anyway, that was my question. You know, I mean, numbers sound big, but two is two more than we needed, but two is not a large number compared to however many people do abide by the law and stuff like that, so thank you for that.
Any other questions, Staff Sergeant Kavanaugh? Councilor Report?
Through Mayor Watson, thank you very much for the presentation. Councilor Watt actually took one of my questions for you. Was Peterborough County is the second highest. Is it incident or fatality?
Fatalities.
So okay, and that's on road or including off road?
Including off-road.
So we're already the second highest. Douro-Dummer is the leader in Peterborough County. And now we want to make sure we secure our #1 position in the county as the highest fatality rates.
Is that a question, Councilor?
No, I guess that's more of a comment, I guess, just to make sure everyone's clear. We want to cement ourselves as the #1 fatality jurisdiction in Peterborough County.
Councilor Report, any other?
I guess my further question, just ballpark numbers in terms of automobile accidents in Peterborough County. I know 2 fatalities isn't a large number of people, but when we look at that over a relatively small number of ATV users, 2 ATV users passing away is different than 2 automobile users passing away, just because there's just a lot more cars up there.
Yeah.
So kind of
And the period of riding is decreased because you're only seeing members on ORVs between, good riding weather, usually March to late November.
Any other questions of Staff Sergeant Kavanaugh?
Well, I got a few questions and a few comments. As far as questions go, we could be here all night asking questions. But I guess I heard from a lot of people, and I belong to a lot of different groups and I hear back and forth, both ways, that they don't want it with noise and various things, speeds and, I understand all that. The thing, and the thing is, like it's been said to me over and over, well, they come to the country to be having nice and quiet. But then again, I hear the same thing, they come to the country where they can get outdoors and do these things. So I understand both of them. And I do know that we gotta come up with some kind of a resolution on how we're gonna resolve this. And just a few little things that I've noticed, like my problem is that we're on the road and you're going down the road, everybody drives at different speed. And we know what the vehicles are on, what speed they go. Extreme. One of my fears is that every time they're gonna come up to someone who they think that, whether they think they respect them on the road or whether they think they're going too slow, whatever, they're gonna try to pass them. I see that with I see that with the bikes on the road, and like some people get really frustrated to see the bikes 2 and 3 across, they take over the darn road, but don't hit them, and then so every chance they get, they zoom around them. And I can see the same thing going on with the 4-wheelers, and that kind of, like that kind of bothers me. To thinking that because unfortunate, the people on the roads are speeding, the majority of people, not everybody, but the majority, and like that scares me. That they, you come upon one that might only be going, like, if they're on the road, are they expected to go to a certain speed? On the county roads, for instance?
So, with the highway traffic act, I was thumbing through that this afternoon. So if you're on a road and it's posted speed limit 50 kilometers or less, then the ORVs are to maintain a speed of 20 kilometers an hour. So if the posted speed limit is 50 kilometers an hour or above, then they're to have a maximum speed of 50. Like if you're in an 80, the ORV is to drive 50.
They drive 50, which means that the vehicle coming up behind them should only be going no more than the 80, like you say, posted on the road, but they're going much more. And they're going to just zoom, try to go around them every chance they get. And then that scares me for the safety of the people on the 4-wheeler. I mean, I have one and I've had one all my life, and my kids all have one. And the thing is, yeah, they're fun, and we're in the country, and we want to use it for recreation and everything else. And as you said earlier, to get to trails, like the biggest thing to get the trails. Well, if your example in Warsaw, where do you go to get a trail? You got to travel on the roads to get a trail. So I mean, there's like I'm kind of in the middle here of some of the discussion that goes on. I'm in favor of some roads maybe being opened up, throwing it wide open. I'm dead against. What I would like to see done is that, and I think we've been around the table talking, I'd like to make a motion that we defer this to our committee of the whole and invite the police back to the meeting at the committee of the whole, and then I've got council work this out. We've got to work it out. There are some people dead against one back and forth, and unfortunately, I'm in the middle. And I'm all for opening up something, but just to throw it wide open, I'm dead against. But I think, as I say, I make a motion that we bring this back to a meeting at the committee of the whole, and again, invite the police, that we can ask as a council, sit down seriously and put them out in front of us and look to see what we might want done. We've heard a lot of response from a lot of people, and I tell you, we appreciate that. You have that right, and we want you to give us your response. And I know that there's a lot of people that want to use them, and then there's a lot of people that don't want them. And so we know that, and we have the decision to make of how we're going to do it. And I think somewhere, I won't say in the middle, but somewhere we got to kind of work together and resolve this, because it's been going on for years. And I think the biggest thing in life is that, again, there's a selected few people that abuse the situation, which makes it bad for all of us. The rules are made because of some people that don't respect the law. They don't respect the road, they don't respect nobody else's privacy, or nothing, they just go. And then all of a sudden, we're forced to make rules. And we'll make them. But the thing is, I do want to respect, thank you for coming out today, and everybody else that came here. We hear you all out here, on both sides, you know, and we want to try to come up with, we're fortunate we're in a country that we're not throwing bombs at each other, that's a good thing. But the thing is, we will come up with some kind of a, in the middle, something. And that's where I want to see that thing. So if I get that second, I would go there.
Councillor Ward, you're seconding
I'll
that
second the
motion?
motion, yes.
Okay. Councillor Watt looks like he has a
Do
question.
we have discussion?
Yeah, oh yeah, no, we
Um,
certainly will.
Yeah, no, it's,
If I can just pause you 1 second. Since we're in the discussion phase, Staff Sergeant Kavanaugh, you can have a seat if you want. Probably don't need to stand there.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
As we can see, there's a lot of people here for and against. We've already established that, or Stab's already established some options here for us, which option 3 is move forward with option 2 and permit ORVs on a pilot basis on identified township roads. Now, I'm not saying we have to identify them tonight, but I mean, we could at least give people satisfaction whether we're gonna say yes, no, yes, we're gonna go ahead with option 3 maybe, but we have to sit down and identify what those roads are at committee of the whole, our next committee of the whole meeting. That's fine with me, whatever, but I don't know how long we're gonna belabor this to make a decision one way or the other, so it's, yeah, that's just my comments and where do we go? So,
Councillor Ward.
Humor Watson, following up on that point too, I think we could talk about this topic tonight until 10 o'clock and still not come up with an answer. Taking this to the committee of the whole meeting and kind of, I would suggest perhaps staff outline a bit of an agenda of what that meeting could look like, because it will take some time. The one item I would like to see explored a little bit more is the insurance aspect of things here as well. Just because when we are putting these vehicles on the road and more of these vehicles on the road, what impact is that going to have on insurance? The correspondence from the insurance company that the township deals with right now lists a number of things that we have to do. So it's signage, it's more documentation of things, a lot more administration. And I just want to know, what are the costs associated with doing that? Because if we don't have those things in place and someone dies, they're going to sue the township. The opportunity is there anyway. I see some people in the gallery shaking their heads, but we don't live in the States, I know, but people are becoming a little bit more litigious here as well, perhaps. So I think insurance is definitely something we need to think about, as well as any budget impacts. If we are looking at roads, working with the OPP to see which ones would be suitable, and then working to see what types of additional improvements need to be made on the road. Do we need to do some type of traffic study to keep the insurance company happy? Like, what are the costs going to be associated with this? I know some people want ATVs on the road, but we also need to know what the costs look like too. Because people that live in the township that want ATVs probably don't want their taxes to go up either. So it's a balancing act between the two things. My soapbox.
Any other comments or discussion on the motion? Seeing nothing, then we will call the vote. All in favor? And that motion carries. Okay, so it looks like, folks, we are going to move down the agenda. Councilor Wood?
I think we still have a piece on here with the county's request. You know, we have to deal with that. They've asked us to deal with it. And I think that's part of the Part of what we have here, like that wasn't part of this motion, like the county sent a specific one, I think the topic was, what we're told before, we're gonna split two different avenues, one for township, one for county, but I'd like to address the county one tonight.
I believe that that was part of Councillor
Yeah,
Johnson's
I think we
motion.
would deal that, committee, the whole town, right?
I don't believe so. I believe
That was township.
Well, that's,
Okay.
we can deal with it, we'll deal with it.
Let's communicate to the chair, one at a time, please. I know folks are still trying to get settled in their head. So Councillor Watt, you have the floor. I was just clarifying at Councillor Johnson that that was the intention of his motion. And Councillor DeVore, your hand is up next.
So, yeah,
Finish your comments.
I'm looking at the fact that the county sent a specific issue document to us, which is separate from the township rules, and we should deal with the two separate.
Councillor Johnston, speaking about the intent of your motion.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with Tom. Let's deal with that. I don't have a problem dealing with that separate. We can deal with that tonight. I don't have a problem. And then what we do with everything else is what we're doing, as far as when we have the meeting at the committee of the whole, is decide where we're maybe push through to do something or not do something.
Councillor Report.
Mayor Watson, I would like to make a motion that since these things are wrapped around each other more tightly than we want them to be or think that they are intertwined. County roads connect the township roads and everything is a network. And I think we need to look at this not as piecemeal, but something holistic. So I would like to make a motion that we incorporate the county request along with Councillor Johnson's previous motion and address all of these at the same time at the next committee of the whole.
Okay, before I even ask for a seconder on that, I'd like to revisit the first motion that we just made because it was my understanding and my interpretation, Councillor Johnson, when I voted on your motion, was that we were looking at all of it at committee of the whole. And I don't know if that was Councillor Vervoort's intention when you seconded the motion. So are you changing, like, are you saying that that wasn't what you knew?
Yeah, I never mentioned it. I never mentioned that, so I exclude that. I will exclude that.
Madam Clerk, procedurally.
I never mentioned it, so I don't
Yeah,
want
your words were not included in the motion. I also felt similar to you. So we can have a second motion to clarify that first motion.
Okay. So,
Councillor Herbert's motion can move forward
okay,
as a clarifying.
as a clarifying motion. So Councillor Vervoort, you are moving that we discuss it at committee? All right, I will, is nobody willing to second that motion? I would typically rescind the chair to do that, but I feel like a discussion around that at this point doesn't make sense. So at this point, that motion will then fall. So now we are, just let me get straight on the play here, where we're going, guys. So right now, we're going to be looking at the rest of the township roads at committee of the whole. And this evening, you'd like to discuss just the county loop that was sent to county council and then kicked back to township.
Yes.
All right. So Councillor Watt.
So do you want me to make a motion that we deal with county portion now? I will make that motion.
I don't
We
think,
need a motion for
I
that?
don't think we need a motion to deal with it. We just need to discuss it and figure out where we're going with
If I
it.
may start the discussion on it, so the recommendation that came back from Brian Weir, Director of Planning and Public Works for this county, and approval by Sheridan Graham, the CAO, was that the report be received and that the report and the comments on the proposed bylaw amendment received from the lower tier municipalities be referred to Council of Township of Douro-Dummer for consideration. So that being said, the amendments that came back to us from the county were three things. And that was, I'm just trying to find them here, sorry, give me a second here. That there was no comment from two of the township. Kevin Monaghan had no concerns. Municipality of Trent Lakes had no concerns. Selwyn asked us to exclude County Road 29 that goes from County Road 6 into Lakefield. So reading that request or the recommendation, those are the three things that come back to our council. Council already voted on the roads and what we want to include. It passed 3-2. It went to county. County sent it to the townships. These are the only three things that came back, 2 with no concerns, and the one for us to possibly take out County Road 29, which I have no problem with. But other than that, the rest of the county thing was already passed and duly seconded and voted on and done. So unless somebody can prove me wrong, that's the only thing on this report the county is asking this township to do is comment on the comments on the proposed bylaw amendment received from the lower tier municipalities, which is those three things. That's it. That's all we have to deal with tonight. So all we have to do is say, yes, we agree, we're taking County Road 29 out, or no, we're not taking County Road 29 out, and send it back to the county, and that's it, done deal. That's my spiel.
Fair enough. Madam Clerk, can you confirm that?
I believe based on the documents, that is correct. I think, our CAO had something.
Through you, Mayor Watson, that is the information we received back from Peterborough County. The motion is included in the report, just that they've sent back the proposed bylaw, and it has been referred back to our council for consideration.
Deputy Mayor Nelson.
I agree with Councillor Watt's synopsis of how that went down. And I would like, if you would like to, was that your motion to?
Well, I didn't make a motion yet, I just want to put that
I was
out
gonna say, we
there.
don't have a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we exclude County Road 29 as the county has said in their report. And it's already been agreed to by the county council. So I would like to, in my motion, agree to drop County Road 29 and send it back, asking them to pass the bylaw for our township.
Anyone second that? Councillor Watt. Deputy Mayor Nelson. Knowing that we have, this is a question for clarification in terms of timing, knowing that we will be discussing other roads in the township at committee of the whole. If this motion were to pass, can we send it all together after that? So that that county council is dealing with it, the bylaw, opening up the bylaw once, so to speak, as a fulsome project as opposed to.
Through you, Madam Chair. County does not make the rules on the county, on township roads.
No,
Same thing as we do not make the rules on county roads,
I'm not aware of that.
but they ask us for our input. So that's what was passed, and that's what county has passed. And I believe that by making this, that we're sending it back. It's already, county council has already passed it on the roads that we requested. We had a 3 vote that went, and so that's the way it was.
Oh, and I'm just asking for clarification on the timing of it, because if at committee of the whole, we look at the maps and later decide in that meeting that we want to open up County Road 40 or further on County Road 8 or another, in addition to a township road, then we're making county council go back to the drawing board again and open up that bylaw yet again. So if all I'm suggesting is if your motion carries this evening, combined, like it was your motion, right?
Yep.
If the motion carries this evening, that we not send it to county council until our council is assured of where we're going with the other roads, so that county council doesn't have to keep reopening county road.
No, I disagree. That's my motion, and I stand by that motion.
All right. All right. Any discussion on the motion?
I'll make there was a motion second.
It was.
Yes, to the chair. I'll make just a note that after we did pass that back several meetings ago, I made a notice of motion to look at the roads that we passed that night with the extension of a few more roads. And I was late on doing it, so they didn't review it. And I stand firm on what my notice of motion was to review the roads that we asked to be open, because I am not in favor of opening it wide open. My understanding at the time, which was the same as when I was on council before, was that we would make it, send it to the county, they would review it back and say, okay, this is what we find, whether we accept yours, or this is what we suggest, and we come back and then we respond back. I didn't realize at the time that the provincial government passed that they had washed their hands on it. They said, all the roads are open. Now it's up to the municipalities to make the decision on what roads they want opened. So they just said, everything's okay. So anyways, I didn't know that night that was going to be cut and dry. Because that's why I made the notice of motion, because I wanted it, I didn't want it that way. I didn't realize it once it was going to be road and stone, once it went to the county. So when they brought it back here with some changes, which Selwyn has asked, that's why again, I didn't put it in there because I thought we were going to deal with the Selwyn thing. So just speaking again on that motion that's on the floor right now, that I'm not in favor of it.
Any other discussion on the motion?
One more, if I may, please, Madam Chair, through you, and maybe the clerk will see open interest. So this right here is basically cut right. If we turn it down, we send it back to the county and say, no, we're not taking it out. If we pass it, we take it out. That's basically what they're asking here, correct? It's not, it goes back, we didn't make a decision on it, or we, the motion on the floor, or the request that they're having is County Road 29. That's the only thing that's on their agenda is County Road 29. As far, like Deputy Mayor Nelson said, the county's already passed the rest. They're just waiting for the feedback on this one item, and then it's done. Is it not?
Through you, Mayor Watson, is my understanding that they have not passed anything. And that with the feedback that came back from Selwyn, they were sending it back to our council to discuss the feedback that was received and decide how you wanted to move forward. So unless the mayor and deputy mayor were present during another, when that actually got passed, I don't believe that they have opened up that bylaw and passed anything that we have provided to them. They are waiting for you to come back with the comments on, or the response to the comments on, from Selwyn.
Yes.
If we don't respond with anything, I would expect that staff will have to bring that back to county council for county council to make a decision on. If we let them know that we are responding and to hold off, I'm sure they will do that as well. But if I go back and indicate that there's been no resolution on it, it would be up to staff at the county to determine how they were going to move forward with it.
Anything else?
To you, Madam Chair. County council did vote on it. They voted on the whole package except for what Mr. Watt read out, or Councillor Watt read out. So county council has already approved the resolution of them roads. Well, we voted on it, and it's been voted on by county council. So to us go back and look stupid, yeah, I think that makes our council look very, very stupid. Sorry, that's what I
Just as a clarification, the county council report that's in our agenda package is dated September 13th. This is the fulsome report that went to county council, correct?
Yes.
So the recommendation that was passed on September 13th in a consent agenda, right? It wasn't, there was no discussion or clarification, is as written here.
just meant, Madam Mayor, nobody in county council decided to pull it out of the consent item because all of county council agreed with what was proposed except for 29 and what Selwyn had asked for. So that's why my motion is to accept that.
I hear you, I understand. I'm just making sure that we're all looking at the same information here, right? And the CAO had asked specifically about how it went, how it happened, how it was handled at county council. I just want the rest of council to know that the report that's in our package is the report that county council approved on consent in the agenda package, and that there was no discussion around the motion.
Nope, wasn't.
Okay, so what I'm hearing here right now, from a clarification on the motion standpoint, it looks like we have a motion on the floor currently to simply pull County Road 29 section from what was originally proposed. Is that what you have down, Madam?
I can read what I written down here, through you, Madam Mayor. So that council excludes County Road 29 as per the request from Solomon and alerts the county of Peterborough with this information. And that, and I'll obviously clean this up, but that the bylaw for the remainder of the loop that was previously approved by council on June 20th, 2023, take place at county council.
And so then that includes the rest of the loop that was previously decided. Okay. Any other discussion or clarification on the motion?
Sorry, I apologize. So one last, so if this motion gets defeated, then basically we're saying we're not pulling County Road 29. Because that's the motion on the floor, where we're saying, do we want 29 or do we not want 29? So if we don't want it, we pull it. If we do want it, then we send it back and say, no, sorry. Let's go ahead and finish your bylaw, you know, because that's basically what they've asked us for, County Road 29 only.
Through you, Mayor Watson, to Councillor Watt. I will say I am unsure as to where the county is, because this recommendation that appears to have been presented to county council specifically says just to receive and to come back. So if there is no decision made, we can certainly provide them with the minutes. I'm not sure how county council is then going to provide that back to county. So I don't want to speak on their behalf. I'd indicate that they're going to come back and say there was no decision, so that means keep 29 in. I think that would be making an assumption on their part. So they may not choose to move that way. They may inquire from staff about the discussion. They may take a look at our minutes. They may watch the live stream. I'm not sure how they will proceed at the county level. I believe that there would be an intent to try to follow the process. So if they thought that there was an issue with taking out 29, I'm not sure that they would just move forward with 29. And I don't believe at this point that that bylaw has been adopted. I think it was received, but I don't think that that loop has actually been approved with just waiting for the 29. I think staff at the county, and I could be wrong, I didn't have those specific conversations, but I believe staff at the county is waiting for our council to make a decision, and then they will then bring it back to county council for discussion.
Right, and do so in the form of it. And that's exactly what I see. So we make the decision tonight one way or the other. It goes back. If it gets defeated, it goes back, say no. Now council defeated it. They don't want 29 taken out. Pretty black and white, and then the county makes a decision on the bylaw. So I see it written here. But again, it's up to the county to do. That's what I say. We make this decision whether we want 29 in or out. That's what they've asked us. And then it goes back to them and say, and it's up to the county to decide, okay, here we go. This is what we're doing. Plain and simple, I think.
Okay. Okay, any other questions or?
Yeah, to the chair, I want to read what you got down that we're going to be voting on.
Sure. So these are the words I have. I'm going to clean it up so it's a real sentence. But council is deciding right now. The motion is that that County 29, the County Road 29 be excluded as per Sullivan's request, and that the township lets the county of Peterborough know that this motion, will let them know that this decision has been passed, and then that allows the county of Peterborough to consider the remainder of the loop as previously passed by this council on June 20th. So that was that map B that council had the 3-2 vote on previously.
Okay, I want to, through the chair, I want to say a couple of things. One is that what county involvement is being with is our county roads. Okay, to have the vehicle, to have the four wheelers go down the county roads. Okay, we as the council moved ahead and even added more county roads. So basically, everything's opened up, would be opened up, except say, Donwood area. You know, other than that, the township would be open. I'm not in favor of opening up the whole township, by no means at this stage. I'm not in favor. If it is worded that is going to be passed by the county no matter what, if we take that out, then I'm going to leave it in, because I want a discussion at the committee of the whole on our roads. And the county roads will be involved in that. If that's not the case, and the county roads, it's an automatic, that it's all open, fine, it's open. But when we have a discussion at the committee of the whole for opening up the side roads, that's where I'm gonna put a freaking 0 on it. You know, if I can't get control of what roads we want done at the county, then don't ask me to open up any side roads. Because I mean, I'm not, if they want to go down the main roads, that's the police's job okay, but once they get off the main road, they gotta get on the main road and get off the main road. I would just say, you know, go ahead, charge them all. You know, and I got family that rides, that wants to go on the roads too. Okay, and it hurts me to say what I'm saying, but if we can't discuss the county roads, because it's automatic, done now, already open, that's fine. I made a mistake, and that's fine. But don't ask me to open up any county, or any township roads. That's my statement. So I mean, if we back and forth, you know where I stand right now. I told you exactly where I stand. And I hate to say that, because I want you people to be able to go on some of the county roads, or some of the township roads. But if it's cut and dry that all the county roads are open, then I'm totally against the township roads. That's where I stand.
Deputy.
Madam Chair, all the county roads aren't open. It's what was in the map that you actually voted on.
That's right, that's right.
You actually voted on that,
I
and
did.
it wasn't all the township, it was not all the county roads within our township. It was a route to get around our township, basically, that's what it was. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Last.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, through you, I have cleaned up this motion, based on the clarifications that we have, so I can read this out, and the mover and seconder can determine if this is better captures they're proposing. So that council approved the request from Sullivan to remove County Road 29, and that County Council consider the previous request as approved by council on June 20th, 2023, minus the inclusion of County Road 29. Thank you.
Okay, I think Councillor Watt, last comment on the motion.
It does have to do with the motion and the previous motion and so on, so, and it's more of a clarification thing, because I've heard more than once, but less than a handful of times, about how we push it through without consultation, without all the different public input, so I got, I think, as Deputy Mayor Hall said, when the county started all this in the first place, they actually hired Stantec to do the whole county and come up with a plan of what was good, what was not good, what was necessary, what was not necessary. And that included public consultation, which, so I just want to bring that up because I keep hearing, oh, no, there was no public consultation. There was all kinds of public consultation and a firm that did it, kind of thing like that. So I just want to clear that misconception up. There's a lot of people that don't know that, and I just want to on record here that
Why don't we know?
that was done.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion that's on the floor that's been spoke to extensively. I'd say it's time to call a vote. All in favor? That motion carries.
Kind of 29 side.
County Road 29 is out, county roads are open.
If they pass it.
As per the map, as per the map.
If they pass it, if they pass it.
If they pass it, it's going to county council for discussion. And then the previous motion that was also carried earlier to discuss other roads in the township at committee of the whole, and not committee of the whole, correct? Yes, all right. Thank you, December 12th. December 12th. Okay, moving on the agenda now, folks. Yeah, feel free to. Yeah, take a minute.
Peterborough County's been hit mortality in this township.
And with wow. And you see the problem is still for that application. There are a lot of good people, my God, I write the freaking shit. My kid paid me to hold them up. Kids run down my freaking 16-year-old. Freaking doing really fun. Can you imagine? I mean, I used to be together, I've never done that in my life. But saying that, you know, like, they swear, I've had a couple of experiences in the last couple of months that scared the shit out of me. Coming over one hill, and this big going, had to go, so country road, not actually, had to go in front of me on the freaking thing, and I'm coming over the hill. He was on the right side, I'm not saying he was doing anything wrong, except it scared the shit out of me. If I hadn't been paying attention or whatever, the guy be dead. You know, it's just scared the shit out of me. And the other thing is like this summer, when it was really dry, on Sunny Road, one was going down the Sunny Road. With a young man on the back. The dust it was making was, I couldn't go around, I could not see. Cars coming this way, fine, but for me to go around him, I couldn't. And some people have their patient, they'll go around, you know, like, I mean, so that's why. Anyway, I'm in that.
They're always.
They're throwing, you know, seatbelt. They roll. Anyways, I made a mistake when I first said that, so I'm all I can say is try to open up the other one. So I'm not freaking saying that. Anyways, that's good. They come with me and tell me that I'm the grand neighbor. Most of them are what breed of cattle do you got? Jersey. How many have? That's a full-time job.
As long as they don't get it on the road.
They're all sort of.
Let's get going.
You can say that doesn't match your shirt, Jared. That doesn't match your shirt.
Once I get wrapped around.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Well, it takes me off being good when I look at it. And that's fine. I mean, yeah. Yeah, well, then, a couple of them just committee meetings. Good, you can't start with the mayor.
Maybe so. Maybe thinking, close the lid.
No, I, see, years ago, when this came up, and I've been writing on the fence, you know, like, no, well, we can try something. So years ago, so you always have to go to county, they would send me meetings, and then we would have to pass it. And I thought it was going there, but in the meantime, they said, hey, everything's great, they don't, I didn't realize, that was my, and anyways, that's fine. What we will, talk to this about maybe for Christmas, we don't have to try to purchase two things. And there are two that maybe not everybody celebrates Christmas. Well, but anyway, enough of that. We're gonna maybe, if you're interested, there are with the wives, whoever, work for supper or something. If we can set up a date that works for everybody. So, I mentioned how I mentioned that before, you guys. So we'll have to sit down and decide when's a good time to go for supper.
Like something that look into, they have a little cover, like cards, what for supper, or up to.
I'm a game, I'm game for anything. It's just a matter of getting the time, right? And, I mentioned it to Heather, and she was in favor of it. So, yeah.
I'm all right. How much we would have it.
Yeah, we'll have a little lunch, and lunch would be well, but your cards. How much of a time frame did she give herself? I got another meeting. I don't know, I got another meeting, I got.
Let's go, Gary.
You got lines?
No, the night's coming.
Oh, okay.
And I'm the guy that runs the meeting. Well, no, I did mention it. And then, okay, yeah. I said we'll get a letter that's going to the county. Yeah. I don't mention it. That's right.
Actually.
Yeah. Cause then. Like I said.
Hit the bell. We have a right to hit, have we got a right to hit the bell? No? Oh, gavel or whatever.
She's the chair.
Oh, yeah. I remember. All of a sudden, you know, give yourself. Sorry, I got to figure it out. No.
Okay,
Well, yeah.
Okay.
so we're all back. Item 10.1, folks, back to the very beginning. Report and capital project status.
Make a motion to receive it with one question, please.
Okay, Councilor Levort, you're seconding that?
I am seconding
Your question, Councilor Watt.
Thank you. Alana, or Martina, whichever, the new slope roof down hall, it always is under investigation. What's the, is it like investigating if it needs to get done or just? I wasn't quite sure what the investigation part was, because it's been quite a while. I know I thought it leaked a long time ago, but I could be wrong.
Through Mayor Watson, Councillor Watt, we actually just had a conversation the other day with our CBO discussing that. So previously there was some thoughts that roof needed to be resloped. There was, to my understanding, some drawings in the works. Unfortunately, we didn't have the drawings. So I've asked Don to take another look just to see. He was under the impression that potentially it didn't need to be resloped, that there was some heating cables put in and some things that had been modified to avoid that. So he's going to take another look and determine whether it's still necessary. I did ask, because we did go through this document, that if he thought it was, we needed to carry that money over in the budget. And if not, then we may find some savings there. So we will have that updated one way or the other in the short term.
Thank you.
Motion to approve that.
I did.
Oh, sorry. I was calling the vote, but the words.
No,
didn't come out.
Oh,
All right, on to item number 10.2, false alarm bylaw. Chief Patterson, over to you, sir.
Thank you. I'll just do some highlights here. We have a report before you. Our current false alarm bylaw was implemented in January 1st, 2005. The two main reasons for a false alarm bylaw is to create a punitive process to encourage the reduction of false alarms. We're not wasting resources going to calls that are unnecessary, and to also recover some of those costs for response. Our current bylaws fee schedule is no charge for the first two false alarms. The second alarm, we send a letter to the owner. And then it's $300 for the third alarm, $350 for the fourth, and $400 for all false alarms beyond the fourth. So what is changing compared to what we established in 2005? To cover our response costs, without being excessive, we are recommending to increase the fees to the MTO rate, which is a similar rate we use on many other motor vehicle accidents, hazmat issues. And the other second thing is to make the violations a rolling 12-month calendar, since their last violation, instead of doing a reset and giving them the free ones again if they're in constant violation. The rest of it is mostly housekeeping and administrative things, just for clarification on what some of those sentences mean. And just as a clarification, the MTO rate at this time, right now, is $543.03. And that gets changed through the MTO. Typically annually, they do some type of cost inflation. So our bylaw would just say the MTO rate, and we would update the user fee bylaws so that as that user fee bylaw is updated, that rate will reflect what it was at the time of passing, but it would always be to the current rate. So saying that, the recommendation is that Fire Chief 2023-08 report dated October 17th regarding the false alarm bylaw be received, and that council passed the attached bylaw and fee schedule effective January 1st, 2024 at the appropriate time during the council meeting.
Questions? Nelson?
Thanks for your report, Chuck. So Chuck, no matter what, that does go up every year with the MTO fee, like it kind of stays current, where if we attach it to that?
Yeah, through the chair, Deputy Nelson, yes, it's an annual, typically an inflation that they set, those rates, and they pass that correspondence to the fire departments. We typically use that for MTO highway invoicing or other invoicing that we use. It's a rate that we've used in the past through our user fees, so that way it keeps up with, we don't run into what we're seeing here.
Thanks, Chuck.
Councilor Report.
If you remember, once I'd like to make a motion to receive the recommendation and pass the attached bylaw.
At the appropriate time of meeting.
Appropriate time of meeting, precisely.
Seconded, Deputy Mayor Nelson, all in favor? That motion carries on to item 10.3, volunteer firefighter wage review, backdoor review.
Thank you once again. So historically, we've done a wage review for our volunteer firefighters at each term of council and set the annual council for that term. We've done that for the past few terms. This did take us some time to get all of the numbers back and be able to review them. So that's why this report is a little behind, but we're subject to everybody providing the information. The last council term, we did do a 2% per year annual increase. So by adding, we have recently did the comparisons, and it's very difficult to actually do a true comparison because there's a lot of variables. There's some are doing multiple tiered rates, some are doing mileage, some are doing no mileage, some have training rates that are different than response rates. So it's very difficult, but I think based on all that, trying to take an average out, I feel like we're slightly behind, not terribly behind, but a little bit behind on the average. So I think by taking the owner's index rating that we use with council and staff, that would add 6% to the hourly rate retroactive for 2023. And then we would put the volunteer firefighter rate on the same annual increase instead of doing the model that we've done in the past. So my recommendation for Fire Chief 2023-09, report dated October 17, 2023, regarding firefighter wages. To be received, that council approves firefighter wages, including honorariums, to receive a 6% retroactive pay for 2023. And furthermore, that the firefighter wages and honorariums be subject to the same percent increase as council and staff on a go-forward basis. And I just want to add one thing that based on the budget of this year, we did put a little percentage in there. We weren't 100% sure what it was going to be, but based on the 9 months that we paid out, the budget that we currently have should support this retroactive pay for 2023.
Sure, really.
Well, I can't predict what the next few months will be in responses. You put I'm not going to say structure fires in there, but I just did. That can certainly affect how much we put it in our wages. So based on history and moving forward, it should reflect that.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Wilson.
Through you, Madam Chair, I'll move the recommendation.
Councillor Johnston, did you have a question or you seconding it? Any discussion? All in favor? That motion carries. Moving on to item 10.4 application, 15T 21006. Clancy Plan subdivision application. Sorry, I don't know why I laughed at 006. It just. Ms. Coulter, over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Watson and members of council. So you have before you report planning 2023-35 with the recommendation. That report planning 2023-35 dated October 17th, 2023 regarding application 15T-21006, 162 County Road 4, Clancy Plan of Subdivision application be received, and that council advise the County of Peterborough that the Township of Douro-Dummer supports the approval of application 15T-21006, 162 County Road 4, Clancy Plan of Subdivision application in principle, subject to the draft plan conditions attached to this report. To give council a brief overview of the application, the owner's planning consultant, Innovative Planning Solutions, submitted an application for a 25 lot, residential plan of subdivision, along with an application for an official plan amendment and a zoning bylaw amendment. At the June 20th, 2023 regular council meeting, a public meeting was held regarding the related official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment. Following the public meeting, Innovative Planning Solutions submitted a fourth submission package to address comments received to date. The fourth submission package has been peer reviewed by the county and township peer reviewers who have provided sign off on the submission insofar as it relates to recommending draft plan approval of the subdivision. In correspondence dated October 13th, the township peer reviewer, DM Wills, indicated that they have reviewed the submission, focusing the scope of their technical peer review to the preliminary stormwater management report, the engineering design drawings, and the hydrogeological assessment. In summary, Wills indicated they are satisfied that all outstanding comments have been satisfactorily addressed for draft plan approval. Any remaining comments can be addressed during detailed design stage. I can read, if council wishes, the full comments from DM Wills because they weren't received in time to attach them to my report. And we do have Chris Proctor, I believe, Manager of Land Development Engineering from DM Wills in attendance should council have any technical questions for Chris. So a copy of the recommended draft plan conditions are attached to this report. During the public meeting process, comments were received on behalf of the owner of 174 County Road 4. Those comments were addressed by staff. And as of the writing of this report, there have been no further comments from the public. The application has been reviewed, and with the implementation of the recommended draft plan conditions, the proposed plan of subdivision has demonstrated consistency with the official plan, growth plan, and provincial policy statement. I will ask if council wants me to read the full set of comments from DM Wills. Otherwise, with that, I'll turn it back to Mayor Watson for any questions. Thank you.
I'm hearing all kinds of no's on the so you're up to look on that one, Ms. Coulter.
That's because we have confidence in you.
Thank you.
Questions? And I should say, welcome, Mr. Proctor. Thank you for joining us today.
I'd just like to make a motion to follow the recommendation and thank Clancy's for their patience and through all this. It's a big process and it looks like it's making its way. So thank you also for everything you've done and the support from DM Wills.
Councilor Ward.
I'll second the motion, please.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? All in favor? That motion carries.
Perfect.
Good evening,
One more
folks.
step.
Yeah, awesome. Appreciate it.
On to item 10.5, regular council meeting schedule. Madam Clerk, over to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is a pretty straightforward report. Every year before the first meeting in November, we need to bring forward a schedule for the following year's council meetings. So I prepared that for you in your package. And so today I just need you to approve it or provide me any comments on changes with that. So
Councilor Ward,
I'd like to make a motion to receive and approve.
second here. Deputy Mayor Nelson?
Uh,
Yeah, I see, like, first of all, Councillor Johnson, then Councillor Watt?
Well, I just have on one date, I have a problem in February, but if they're scheduled, maybe I can take my computer here to an island and maybe I get someone to help me to be live with you people.
There you go. Is it the first meeting or the second meeting?
No, the first,
First meeting,
the
okay.
fourth, the fourth, I guess.
The sixth,
Or the sixth.
Yep.
Okay, I'll go away before.
fair enough. Now, note for the record, Councillor Johnson will be sending you the reds on February 6th. Sorry, Councillor Watt.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and just some food for thought, and Councillor Johnson, that kind of leads into what I was thinking about. And it's just food for thought, we don't need to make any decision right now, but a lot of people go away in the winter time, like February is a good month for people to go away. We don't have any meetings in July, but I know July is a lot of time for holiday time too, for staff and everything else, so it's a trade-off in that, but I just wondered maybe sometime we should maybe look at the option of maybe changing it up for a year and just see how, you know, people want to take winter holidays and then they're not missing council meetings. Now, as Councillor Johnson said, you can go online in a lot of places. I mean, there's some places I probably wouldn't take this travel with me. But that being said, it's just a comment I wanted to make, the fact that, well, maybe we should look at winter month off instead of summer sometime. But again, a lot of that depends on staff, because I mean, there's holiday time for staff. A lot of people like summer holidays and, yeah.
All right.
Right, so yeah,
So we've got a motion on the
that's a
floor.
good deal.
All in favor? That motion carries. On to item 10.7, the Township Douro-Dummer tree planting project, instructions.
Thank you, Mayor Watson. The recommendation is that CAO 2023-27 report dated October 17, 2023 regarding the Township of Douro-Dummer tree planting project report be received, and that council direct staff to allocate $10,000 in the 2024 for discussion during budget negotiations to run a similar program next year. Just a quick, I did provide some pictures. I will say when we talk about engagement, I had no idea how positive this program would end up. And from the time that the trees were delivered on the Thursday morning, it just happened to be as all of staff was coming in, and there had to be 15 staff members that were helping unload trees, and just the morale in the office was boosted that day. But then to have the lineup as of Friday morning with people coming to collect their trees, and everybody was so happy, they were so happy with the quality. So kudos to Pine Needle Farms, they were fantastic to deal with, but everything just went seamlessly. Unfortunately, I can't give credit to Tara here because she's since moved on, but she did a great job keeping everything organized. The front reception staff that took all of the orders individually, because we had people pay up front. The finance staff that once, you know, we realized how positive it was, we were, okay, we're just gonna reinvest the profits that we were making or the payments that were coming in to try to expand it. So I think if we were to do it again next year, we might increase the cost of the trees slightly. I don't know if people would complain about that, but I think with the same investment, we could probably bring 1,000 trees into the municipality instead of 700. And I think it's an opportunity when we look at engagement, if there's something that, you know, depending on the timing, maybe we have a budget booth or we have something else that we can engage people, because it was just such a positive environment. It really was something to see. So, you know, it was great that this council put it all together, and that, you know, the recommendation was there or the direction was there for staff to try to come up with a program, because it really was a positive outcome all around.
Thank you for that. Deputy Mayor Nelson.
Through the chair, kudos to all the staff and everybody that was involved in that. I heard nothing but positive things from people out there. They were so happy, and they were so happy with the quality of the trees. That's what the big thing was the quality of the trees. They were shocked. They were really shocked about what the trees were and how good they were. And I know different comments I heard back from people. Unfortunately, well, I did see some trees from some of the people that got them, but they also said they'd be more than willing to pay more money for that quality of trees. So that was for the size of them, and they were more than happy. So anyways, I think that was kudos to the staff for pulling that off. I think it's a great thing.
Councillor Watt, then Councillor Johnston.
No, I was just gonna say, I'll make a recommendation or a motion to follow the recommendation and put the money in the upcoming budget for us to deliberate on and accept all these pictures.
So I think Councillor
I'll
Johnston.
second it with but the line there, Mr. Kramer's got to come up with some money someplace to sneak this in, but I'm all for favor.
Councilor Moore, did you have a question? I'll just make a comment as well. I appreciate everything that staff did. I echo Deputy Mayor Nelson's comments. I had the good opportunity to pop in on Friday and again on Saturday and talk to people and help carry trees out even and just thrilled overall with how it went down. And thanks to this council for supporting the diversion of funds for that, diversion, it sounds like a allocation of funds that we had received. It was the MRF grant that we had originally received, so we'd allocated those funds. And thanks for your support in doing that, because it did put a lot of smiles on people's faces, but more importantly, I would say it helped rebuild the tree loss, the tree damage that we sustained. And I don't think 700 trees will make a drop in that bucket, you know, from the ratio going back there, but certainly it was a good program overall. So thank you, staff. Thank you, council. All in favor? That motion carries. On to item number 10.8, the Manulife Benefit Program.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The recommendations at CAO 2023-28 report dated October 17th, 2023 regarding the Manulife Benefit Plan 2024 renewal report be received, and that council approve the enhancements to the plan resulting in a 1% overall increase in annual premiums. Historically, we've seen some larger increases, and certainly COVID threw a little bit of a wrench into that. We saw a little bit of a lower increase in dental because dental offices were closed. So we're at a point now where things have leveled out. I really didn't know what kind of a renewal we were going to receive. When we did take a look at it, it was at 0.1% of an increase, which, you know, we never see. So I thought it was a good opportunity to sort of take a look at our benefit plan and determine where we might be able to provide some enhancements. We certainly heard feedback with regards to the chiro and the massage, because the per visit maximums were so low that people were saying it's not really worth it for us. So we did go back and just ask for some costing, which they provided us. I think it's a great enhancement for this plan. I think staff will be happy. You know, we try to look at ways to attract and retain staff, and this is a prime example. I know last year, you know, with our large CPI, we did no salary increases across the board. So this is one of those things where I think it's a small investment from the township to be able to provide back to staff some additional benefits and at a relatively low cost of 1%.
Council,
I make a
Councilor,
motion to receive and to follow the recommendation.
Councilor Moore, your hand is up.
Second.
Are we questioning or are we just like the report?
Question. If I may, through you,
Yes,
Madam Mayor.
yes, sorry.
And it was something that Councilor Johnson brought up there before. Did you have a chance to talk to the insurance providers about what we said about council? You used to be at one time covered for travel and stuff like that. Like that was no cost to us, no nothing. It was just an automatic. We had a card that we carried in our wallet, and that's going back a few years ago. But I mean, I do remember having it for sure. So probably something they took out of the package.
Through you, Mayor Watson. I am skeptical, but I will reach out to confirm and I'll get back to you. Let you know.
Yeah, it's just, it was there once before, so.
Yeah, I didn't see it here tonight.
I will follow up.
No, it was for.
Ready, okay, all right, so all in favor, and that motion carries. On to section 11, committee reports and committee minutes and other reports. We've got 2 sets of minutes in front of us, the Arenas Facilities Ad Hoc Committee and the Events Committee meeting minutes. One motion to receive them both. Councillor Reward, seconded by Councillor Johnston. Question from Councillor
Yes, I
Watt.
could please to Councilor Johnson. Any more update on the 10th or the 11th? With your
Yeah, we're staying, well, I should have gone, but everybody was here. Well, to say that. Anyway, no, we're still having it on Remembrance Day. It's going to be on the 10th.
Okay.
We're having our at the cemetery, and so far, I'm understanding, I'm going to talk to them still, but my understanding, the Douro School is not going to participate. They've got some other things going on, but the Warsaw School said they would bring 142 people, that they would be here. They'd be more than glad to come on a Friday. So that was a good thing.
Yep.
So it's continuing on there, and we just had a meeting, and as you see there, so everything's in line. Perfect.
Thanks.
Two questions, you're just ready to vote. All in favor? And that motion carries. Correspondence action items, we have none. We've got a couple of bylaws for us. Madam Clerk, will handle it for you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So First bylaw is 2023-44. This is the zoning bylaw amendment that we had the public meeting for earlier in the meeting. So that's file R0723 for Kid and Spence. And then the second bylaw is bylaw 2023-45. And that is the false alarm bylaw that our fire chief had spoken about earlier in the meeting.
Fantastic. Secretary Nelson?
Also move the recommendation to pass the bylaws.
Sure, I'll second it.
Both of them? All in favor? That motion carries. Look at us flying through things. No reports, no notices of motion or any, I should ask, are there any notices of motion? Any announcements? We already talked about Remembrance Day.
Just to say Remembrance Day. Yeah, and then Santa Claus parade will follow down the road. Anyway, it's just Remembrance Day, it's a big one right now.
Through
My agenda to study it.
The Santa-
my agenda to study it
the Santa Claus parade is still on the 25th, right?
last Saturday.
Yeah, 25th.
Not December, November.
Yeah, no, December, or November,
That's right.
25th, right?
With Sharon and
Yeah, they were at a meeting. like that.
And,
No, not that.
Neil.
That's other.
Yeah.
Quick question,
I'm
just
waiting
another
for
quick-
these two to finish
just
their
another quick
dialogue.
question, the township, or the boys are putting a float, we're putting a float in again for township float?
The township, putting in floor, yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll be
and,
more than happy to come and help decorate, whatever, the journey on the Friday, I believe they
Well,
decorated in the morning,
the roads,
if you know that.
communicate with that. No, I don't know when they're gonna do that.
Okay,
Maybe you check with them.
okay, well, I'm more than willing to come and help staff with decorating that date on the Friday.
And the theme is
Peace on earth.
peace on earth.
Oh.
Peace on
Seems
earth.
we're having some awful times out there right now.
Yes.
That seems to be the right theme.
Any other
Just-
announcements?
No,
Councilor?
announcement, just a quick question for Councilor Johnson. Is there someone to register, if you want to put a float in, is there a specific person to get a hold of, so they have a list? Or just
Good point.
anybody?
I can't say that there any particular person or whatever, I'll hopefully go through the office that they would do that.
All right.
I think like, some of the groups that have been there before, I talked to several of them, and they're putting a float in. As far as individual people, contractors, farmers, or whatever, people just show up. I think they put it, there's an ad out there, isn't there, Martina?
It will be shortly.
It will be to them to put the name forward, where we can get a list.
I'm putting one in, so. I'm jotting it down.
Okay,
Okay.
any other announcements? What do we have now? Closed session, nothing, confirming bylaw. Council report, Secretary Nelson, all in favor, that carries. We've got 3 meetings coming up, a special meeting, October 31st in the morning for budget. November 1st, also for budget, so 2 days in a row at 2 o'clock in the afternoon for that one, and then a regular council meeting on November 7th. Motion to adjourn? Everybody, all in favor? That carries.